So the superintendent has a secretary who's also the Board of Ed clerk. The assistant superintendent has 2 secretaries?
No, it's not. I mean, it's like saying that I have 6. It's not. Yeah, the data secretary is all state reporting. She actually has nothing to do with, Sue is just her supervisor. Really, right?
She does all the state reporting.
She does all the state reporting, all the enrollment figures, everything. And actually, the administrative assistant to the assistant superintendent is actually split now between technology, the assistant superintendent, and maintenance, because we lost those secretaries. So she actually covers 3 directors or administrators.
Just having supervisors.
Right.
Makes way too much money.
Insurance surplus. That's our money. That is our surplus money while the course of the year is taking place. Right?
I'm listening to it.
So, if we just hypothetically, we got $2 million of surplus money projected in April in the insurance account. We say we're gonna encumber that, and we're gonna move 500 of 1,000 of it in April to pick up the shortfall we have in special ed. We have a right to do that?
No.
Why don't we have a right to do that?
Do you want to take that or do you want me to?
No, you can have it.
Because we're contracted by the city bills us 100% for our insurance, 110% for our insurance. It's our obligation to pay the full amount. If you remember 2 or 3 years ago, we tried to do that through a prior superintendent,
Yeah.
and we weren't allowed to do that.
You have that contract with the city? I mean, where is it that I can look at that contract? Where is it that the board
That
can
we
look
have
at
to
that
pay
contract?
for our
No,
insurance?
the contract that we actually contract with the city, that we're gonna let the city dominate and dictate to us how we self-insure.
The
Where is
city
it?
doesn't, there's not a contract that.
Well, then you just said it was a contract. We contract
No, we
with.
contract with Cigna, that's our insurance company.
Okay.
We have to pay 100% of the claims. Our employees take up 69, actually, percent of 100% of employees.
Okay.
We dominate the insurance.
Right, so we don't need to be with the city. The city needs to be with us.
If we.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why are we letting them dictate to us the terms of how we insure? Look, I'm just trying to understand that if we have a surplus, and you know the surplus money is there, because we're self-insured, we should be able to utilize that money in the course of the year, as we do with any other account that we see, to shift money from one account to another as time
Well,
goes on.
there is FCC regulations on
FCC.
SEC. It's late, I haven't even. There are securities and exchange, you're setting up an insurance fund.
Okay.
There's only certain things that money can be used for. Once you put the money in there, it's designated funds. You can't just take it and shift it where you want to shift it. There's also, when you self-insure, there's requirements of what you have to meet. And there's a certain amount of money you have to keep in that account based on your historical data. So we can't just, we don't let the city dictate us. We are the city. We are the Torrington City Department of Education. That'd be the same as saying that the street department's gonna start telling the city how the city's gonna run. You know, we are part of the city. every other department, Board of Public Safety, they all go through their budgets just like we do, and we give it to the city. And then the city determines how much money we get. We don't go to the city and say, pay me this.
But no, the street department is run by the public works director, who.
And the
serves
education is run by
the
the superintendent.
superintendent, which we control how we spend our money. The city of Torrington does not control how we spend our money. Once they just give us a lump sum amount of money,
Right.
it's in our power to spend it how we feel we want to spend it, right?
Yes.
So we have X amount of money to spend, and a portion of that money is to buy insurance for our employees.
For the city's employees. Everybody that works for the Board of Ed is an employee of the city of Torrington. They are.
What you're saying is that surplus is protected by SEC, which is different than a line item in our budget?
Yes.
There's no way you
rules
can.
around being self-insured.
Yeah, okay, all right.
It's not just a savings account, you know, it's not, it was the same when we went and asked for the money to support the roof project.
No, I get
They
it.
couldn't
I get
give
it.
us money out of certain funds because different funds have restrictions on them as to how they can legally be used. So
Well,
it's
they
not
don't want,
just,
they don't want boards of education doing exactly what this guy's.
they don't want anybody just going in and going, and then all of a sudden in June, there's no money to pay healthcare.
Right.
That's why there's rules in place to protect them.
Plus, it also relates to your bond funding. We
The
go on-
insurance doesn't. The insurance is separate. Because it's a regulated fund. It's not a savings. It's not an asset of the city, it's an asset of the city's employees. It's their insurance money to pay their health care.
And to follow up that surplus, how does that roll back? Does that then go to the city then, or?
No, it just goes, any surplus is taken off next year's insurance.
Got it, okay, okay. It rolls over.
It just rolls over. It just
Okay.
stays in that fund, because you can't take it out for something else. It has to be used for insurance.
So that money has to be taken, that insurance money that was appropriated, as you say, has to stay with insurance.
That's what he said.
Yet, at the end of the year, the city's gonna take that surplus and put it into their general fund.
They don't take the surplus.
No.
What do they do with the surplus money?
They roll it into next year's insurance.
It rolls over.
We have $1 million that was given to us last year.
Yes.
That was the entire amount of the surplus money from last year. To the penny.
I don't know that.
No.
Well,
just say
what was the surplus amount? Now, I've been trying to find that's why I talked to the city, that's why I try and talk to Danielle. It's amazing that I can't seem to get both sides to tell me just some real simple answers to
We don't have
these
that
questions.
answer.
You don't, how don't you have that answer? We have the answer about everything else we do
The
here.
insurance fund is just, it's a fund that's 125% of our projected
Yes.
insurance. And at the end of the year, what is left over, there's a report done that's done at the Board of Finance that shows what the surplus is and how the insurance is going to be done. If you want the number, I can get you the number. I don't have it, but I'm sure I can get it.
Let's see what the last, we've been looking at, see, this was a great presentation by, I was
By
gonna
us.
give you the credit.
I appreciate that.
Why don't we see this type of presentation with our health insurance over the last several years? No, this isn't month, this is year to year. Why don't we see what happened with our health insurance from the year 2004 to this year, show what we budgeted, what we actually spent, what the surplus amount was.
Because that will come from the city, that can't come from me, I don't have those figures. So we could get that if the city will give it to us.
We don't get it because we've never asked for it. If you want to
Right.
ask for it,
I
ask
mean,
for it. We'll
we
get a
get
report put
audited
together
every
just
year,
like
it's
that.
in our audited book.
Would you like a
Our
report like that on
audited.
insurance?
Just ask for it,
I
ask the
I
city,
spent
as part of our
time
budget
for 3
negotiation. we need
weeks
this
working
data.
with
Just-
the city.
Well, stop spinning your wheels, let's move on. Make a request and direct
We'll
the
make a
chairman
request
to
and
get
we'll,
the information.
we'll
for the
get
next
you a
meeting.
report just like that for insurance, with all the information that we can get.
Okay.
I can't guarantee all of it, because some of it's not held by us, but we'll get you all the information we can get.
But I already made that request to the city, but.
But you didn't do it
Yeah,
to
but
the
I-
board, now you're in the
you
board
didn't make it
meeting.
through us.
Oh,
so I
okay,
can't
now
follow
that
up on
the
it.
board,
Well,
now
yeah,
they're
there are
presented
actually-
different, now they'll present different data because
Well,
now the
Andrew,
board
There are
asks.
actually statutory
Andrew, if you wanna get it,
obligations.
if you wanna get it from the city, go talk to them and get it from them, we'll
I
take this
didn't
off
get it
our.
from them, that's why I'm.
But you're not going as the board, you're going as Andrew
As a-
Nargi,
you're
private citizen.
absolutely
Now you're going
correct.
to the board, so.
If you want this board to,
Hold on.
and this administration to do it, just ask for it and we'll do it. If you wanna stay with your request to the city, you can go stay that and we'll take it
No,
off.
I'd rather have you guys do it.
All right, we'll keep it on our docket to do that. All right. Yes, sir.
I just have a question about what the, about.
Absolutely. Ellen, you have a question?
But I have another one after that. so go
Okay.
ahead.
I'm just noticing, it strikes me, and I just want to make sure it's not a mistake. Our in-district coordinator is a unionized employee who's having a decrease in salary year to year?
Not, where do you see a decrease? I'm sorry. 12, 13, 13, 14.
It goes from 51 down to 50.
It's probably back,
Transpose.
it's right transposed.
Okay.
If you give me 1 second, I can tell you.
Why do you, I got a question from,
Nice try.
from a fan of Board of Education. Looking to save money on busing routes. Why are individual children getting their own bus? Do you know what this, parent is referring to? And is there an answer for that?
I honestly.
Why are individual children in the Torrington School District getting their own bus?
Chances are that it's probably a child with special needs.
Yep. And it's confidential information.
So this is only for special needs, children who are identified as special needs by the state?
Correct. By us.
By us.
Not by the state, by us.
Okay,
We identify.
okay, all right. What about, can I follow, another follow-up question from the same parent? Mr. Chair?
Yes.
We seem to have this lull.
Yes.
In terms of purchasing supplies, can the school district do it in other places besides catalogs, which tend to overcharge? Do we have an answer?
Usually from different catalogs, being really back me on this one is that
Do we
we got such
constantly
a
look for?
decent,
Yeah.
decent discount, buy in bulk. We also
Oh, yeah.
use, part of the
Consortium,
consortium.
yeah.
So that's all part of the process?
Rather than going to Staples or Walmart, and plus the quality's better that you can get in a general store.
Right. There seems to be a concern that we have too many secretaries at Vision Avenue. So do we really need the school food bookkeeper and the benefits of student activities and tutors?
Well, we don't have to offer benefits.
I mean, can that be rolled into one function?
It is one function.
No, the school.
No,
It's
they
a
want to have
cafeteria.
the cafeteria books.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not what?
It absolutely cannot be one position. There's just not enough hours in a day.
To do that? What does the school food bookkeeper do?
All of the school food accounts, all the revenue in, expenses, all the ordering, all the free and reduced lunch. She's actually, she's not in the secretary's union, she's in the cafeteria union, that's why it's called the bookkeeper. And it's only a 30-hour-a-week position, it's not a
Okay.
40-hour.
Ellen, did you have another question?
It's no question. I would like to look at the stipends, just a breakdown of all the stipends, not the sports stipends, the other stipends.
Yes,
Who
thank you.
received them and,
Yeah, the stipend, that's why, that's one of the areas I had put on the list of possible reductions.
okay.
Because we fund everything that could be hired for. We don't necessarily hire for all of them. So what, do you want a list of who we actually, or which ones we actually pay, or all of them that we could potentially pay?
All the stipends that
Both.
are in the budget, right.
And the ones you regularly pay, so that we can see which ones never get used.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
What, just another idea, I know at some point, the previous superintendent, you were looking at school usage, and this goes to consolidating schools. Are we at a point where we couldn't consolidate, say, Southwest and make that Mission Avenue, make that our administrative, use that for administrative purposes? And then shut down Mission Avenue? Is that something that could be done?
Say, Bill,
We did extensive research about 2-3 years ago, just 2 years ago now, on school capacity. Numbers-wise, Southwest was the one we looked at. There's been some discussion about East, and I sent out the report that we did. The numbers don't match up with East. Southwest you could look at, but I would caution that it sounds like you could take everybody out of Southwest school, salaries, everything, and that would be a cut. No, you're gonna take the students, put them in the other schools, you're gonna increase class size, which is contractual, so some of those people would, some of the personnel would have to follow the kids. You would lose administrator, cafeteria services, things of that nature that are, you need to run a unique school. Once you finish looking at moving staff, paying unemployment for those laid off, transportation, the study we saw showed only about a 50% savings of what it costs to run the building now. So yeah, you could do it, and you could probably save it. Staffing alone, when we did the projection, it was a savings of about $500,000, a little over $1 million.
No, but the problem with it is the only schools you can close are Forbes or East.
Correct. That's another problem, because we
We're out of
took
hook
out
for money. Because we're within the window of when we borrowed money from the state, that it has to remain a school building and you have to pay the money back.
for children, for instruction.
Right.
So
When
you're
do we
right.
hit that, when do we hit that window for Southwest?
Is it 25 years?
25?
Yeah, I think it's 25
I
years
think
from
it
the
is.
word.
You can do it, but you have to pay back.
That was
the
in
state rate for a year.
2000,
You might.
1999.
So many years, I mean, you said.
All right, so if you're,
50 years before.
I know one of those.
you're 13 years,
We had two for Will.
you're 13 years into that time period.
Jeez.
And one of the reasons we looked at East, that was the one school where you could potentially do it, but the numbers don't work. Unless you change your grade configurations, and we've had that discussion.
We also have to look at future years. If the state mandates full day kindergarten, we don't have enough room in the schools that we have now for full day kindergarten.
You also
So
have the problem
that has
of-
to be also in the mind, in our thoughts for the future.
Yeah, and you have the problem of kindergarten and first grade required to be
Yeah,
on
the
an
first
access
floor.
floor.
And you have the bus.
And you have
And how long they can be on the bus. They can only be on the bus so
Right.
long. And yes,
Just, if we were to say to the superintendent or the business manager, well, the administration, tell us what is mandated by law that we have to provide for education, the bare minimum that law requires this school board to oversee and require it to take place. What would our actual budget be?
mandates bare minimum to educate the kids.
That's.
Okay, that's.
No, I'm saying you maxed out everything. You eliminated every extra thing that we do for kids. I'm not saying I want that.
No, but I'm telling you, sports,
Okay,
athletics,
Okay.
anything that doesn't deal with instruction. Cutting teachers, what did we figure out? 81,
We could-
all we need is 81 teachers, and we offer 153 courses, and that will allow every student at the high school to meet the required courses for graduation.
1 credit of fine arts.
Yeah.
1 credit of applied education. You have your 4 credits of English, only 3 of math, which means that seniors wouldn't take math, only 3 of science, which would mean seniors wouldn't take physics. You have 3.5 of social studies. You don't have to take world language. You do have to take 5 electives though, so that could include world language or other courses. And you need a credit of health, a credit of wellness.
And it's in there, increased class size. We're already out of compliance.
I'm just-
No, you're saying, you're
Yeah, but I'm
asking.
asking you what the
One,
number,
two,
what,
three.
what is the number, what is the actual number to do bare minimum? Have one superintendent eliminate these positions, just eliminate everyone that we would get by with a bare minimum legal budget that we wouldn't, as board members, wouldn't be
You would
responsible.
not get by.
No, I mean,
Are you saying waive contractual?
no, whatever we're contractually
Or you
responsible
want
for.
mandated or contractual or both?
No, what I'm saying is, what would be the bare minimum educational operation?
Okay, the only thing you're mandated by the state to have is in your central office is a superintendent. It means you're, yeah, and business manager, okay? And the director of special ed.
Okay, no human resource person?
No.
Superintendent could do it.
Okay, so there's 2 positions that
For your
are a
spelling.
luxury to the district. What are some of the other?
Yeah.
I'm not advocating these things, I'm just saying, when you say that we're at the bare bones right now and that Chairman Traub is starting to say that we may be on the hook for money that we budgeted for and we don't have at the end of the year, what really is our bare?
I can guarantee
But
if
you-
we, no, I can guarantee if, just starting in your central office, by cutting those 2 positions, will the whole assessment piece go right? Will we make, like, yeah.
But he's not worried about that.
Contractual.
He's not worried, he just wants to know, for you to put a budget together.
We won't be functional.
Doesn't matter, that's not what he's asking you.
Well, but we may not be functional, but we're within the law, that's what I'm saying. Just what is within the law meaning, not that we're good or bad. What does the law say we got to do?
Educate all children.
But the
Educate
law
all
doesn't
children.
say you have to be union, so do
What?
you want, the law doesn't say you have to be union, so do you want to be contractual or just mandated?
Let's see what it would be without the union law.
So just state
I just think that the public has a right to know. It's not a fantasy, because the public has a right to know that. It's not a wild goose chase, because they keep saying, we need this, we need that, we can't get by without that. But if the law doesn't mandate it, then there is discretion.
But,
Do the work that the law does for the state.
right.
Well, then the law requires that. I mean,
That's what I'm trying to say to you. It's,
We'll put some, they'll work on putting something together for you for Wednesday. Put it on the list.
Can we have a one place, can't spend less than 1 year?
Illustrate this point.
Yeah, that's
It is
it.
right.
That is right there.
How many kids are we outsourcing? How many regular kids are we outsourcing this year versus 5 years ago to magnet schools? Can we just put a number on that and what that dollar amount is? Just the trend
The
in
trend
outsourcing.
of traditional education students that we are outsourcing in the last 5 years.
Yeah,
Not
just
special
where we were
traditional
5 years ago, just, and that will highlight
Yeah.
what is the difference between offering bare bones only, only with the state mandates is here. And that will almost certainly drive kids to go there. And that's what people in this town have got to get their head around.
that would be.
That's what people have to get their head around.
All right, so we got another
anything
question.
beyond academics, we don't have to offer. We don't have to offer sports, we don't have to offer music. That's why they get on
What
the
does that
list.
have to do with them asking you how many students are outsourcing?
Well, it's just a continuation.
Sorry.
Question over here.
Excuse me.
You run me down here.
Vince,
Yes.
you had a question?
No,
John.
It's not a
John.
question, it's a statement. Among the state mandates is you have to spend as much money this year as you did last year. So that.
But you
that
can't get an
discussion.
exception.
And that discussion.
Only if the town burns down, everyone moves out. Well, Torrington.
Which would happen.
Bring it down right now, economic.
Well, if we keep going the way we are, that will happen.
I do have a question, one more crazy idea, which is, we have this concept of a shortened school day when we get our kids in because of snow, delays, so they're on a shortened day. They have no study hall and they have no lunch. No? Well, how do they get all that in? How do they get all their classes in and have the study hall and lunch? Though they shorten the classes.
Yeah.
You still have to have 900 instructional hours. Yeah.
Well, if you shorten the class period, then how do you get the instructional hours?
By the number of days, over the number of days.
We schedule, we schedule
Mr. Chair, will we have a council for the order again?
Yeah.
enough days to get in 900 hours plus.
Okay, so a shortened day class, it's an hour class, you have an hour class.
Not necessarily, if it's a certain day, you might have a 45-minute class.
And then they have their lunch,
Yeah.
and they have their study hall class.
Okay, point of order. Can we get
All
back
right.
on track?
No. Obviously, we're gonna table this till next meeting, because we're gonna finish the discussion next meeting. So, what's that? Yep.
I will move it. Second.
Motion by Carl, second by Vincent. To move this. All right, comments for the good of the order. John? Oh, do we really have to? All right. Discussion?
No. I got one
All,
comment.
all in favor?
No, I got one comment I'd like to make. And I would just like to read, going all the way back to the beginning.
No,
We're not there yet.
Oh, I thought you said.
No, this is to continue it to next
Oh,
week.
I'm sorry.
All those in favor? Okay, unanimous. Now, comments for good of the order. John?
No, thank you.
Carl?
Good.
Vincent? Chris? Bill? Fiona?
Bill, I was just wondering if for the next meeting, if you could just give us a total number of kids in your department on 504s that are not on special ed, that are receiving other services, just so we can get an idea of the total number of our students, how many of them are either
I
special ed.
can give you identified 504 students. When you talk about how many are receiving services, 504 students receive accommodations,
Yeah.
not services. So
I'm just looking more at numbers.
numbers,
Any-
sure.
But if there's, say, in a classroom, there's out of 20 children, there's 5 or 6 who are identified as 504, would that require an extra parent to be?
Not
necessarily.
Necessarily?
Not necessarily. 50, just real quick in a nutshell, and I can cover this next time. 504 is your regular ed students who have a disability. Under the law, which we know as the Disability Act, we have to level the playing field. So it could be a child that has trouble seeing, could be a child that has some hearing problem, could be a student with asthma, it could be a student with food allergy. ADD is a common one. A lot of times, that's just extra time to do work, or list the assignments for the child, you know, things like that. It doesn't require, it's low cost or no cost, much of it. A student that has trouble moving about the building might be quite expensive in terms of equipment and things like that, so it covers the gamut.
But they're all requiring PPTs and.
They have a 504 meeting.
504 is regular ed. 504 is regular ed, it has something to do
But
with
they still have an
BPTs.
annual meeting.
They
They
have
still
a
have
504
annual
meeting, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'd be happy to bring those numbers to you and kind of give you an idea.
Just get from the buildings, how many students are being serviced with these crisis intervention teams? Obviously, no identifying information, just the numbers of kids.
So you're talking about students that are struggling with behavioral issues that require,
No, I think she's talking about RTI, aren't you?
Yeah.
RTI.
RTI.
kids, Not crisis interventions. I believe that's.
I mean, I guess I'm looking at the numbers in each of our buildings of all the kids other than the regular mainstream education kids.
okay, the child that's under some sort of a
Some
type.
sort of service.
Gotcha.
Because RTI would be
getting some kind of support service in 504.
Right.
No, not the CROP, but then we have the crisis intervention where they're in the middle there.
RTI, it's,
No, it's not crisis intervention. Crisis intervention is when you have a kid who's really down and you have a team that comes in and helps that child. What I think you're talking about is the response to intervention team. And those are the kids who are struggling, and there's 3 tiers. So they get different amounts depending on the intensity of need. So I think that's what you're asking.
And it's regular, that's all
They're
regular ed.
They're all regular ed, yes.
But they're not regular ed in the sense that they're going through the classes every day like all the other kids.
Yeah, some of them, oh, yeah.
No, but they're requiring additional services.
They're,
in the building.
yeah, the supplemental service.
Differentiation of instruction is what they
Maybe
require.
other class.
Yeah. But I think for us to understand what we need in the building, we need to really look at what's in our buildings.
My comment is I've heard from board members and the public repeatedly say that if we don't spend more money on education, that Torrington is going to be a much less attractive place for people to want to come, move, reside, live. And what is going to really make Torrington an unattractive place to live is that our tax burden continues to appreciate year in, year out. It's causing our businesses to leave. As our businesses leave, people don't have those good middle-class jobs, and then they start to leave. And as you start losing those middle-class people, there becomes a hole, a vacuum. Other people will come in to fill those vacancies residentially. But it's not going to be people that are going to have good middle-class jobs. You're going to put a much bigger burden year in, year out on the taxpayers, on the businesses, small businesses, large businesses, that have some type of ability to actually leave Torrington, which Torrington, as we all know, isn't the same town it was 5 years ago, 10 years. Since 2005, Torrington has seen a tremendous economic depression hit Torrington. Some people would say that's not unique to the rest of the country, but in the year 2013, I see all sorts of pockets all over the country that are in recovery mode, and Torrington is spiraling downhill. And if you want Torrington to continue to spiral downhill, not saying we don't want to have a good educational system, but we also have to balance that with our mill rate going up, and it's not going to lead to a productive, well-balanced community. And I think we, as a board and as a community, have to always balance good education. Kids need good education, but also think in terms of what the tax burden is on the property owners and the business owners of Torrington. And I just would like to hear more of that balance as opposed to always it's one-sided. The education of the students and the school system needs more money. It's not going to work out positively for the school system the more you continue to lose your economic base, which is your industry, which is your businesses. So that's my comment.
I would simply remind all of our people that are left in the audience the fact that we are 10 representatives of the population of Torrington. In the end, 10 people sitting in front of the Board of Finance carries some weight. Having a room full of people sitting in front of the Board of Finance when they're making their decision carries a lot more weight. So without you, we're 10 voices. With you, we could be a room full of voices.
Yeah, and I would just like to actually, it dovetails with what Andrew's saying, and his comments I think are right on point, right on point. And all the effort this board's been going through with this budget, in particular tonight, these are all value propositions. They're all value propositions. What we're going to fund, what we're not going to fund, and it all points toward, what are we getting out of this expenditure, and that brings me back to where we began tonight with the athletic budget. this board has expressed tonight, and I think, I don't know the numbers, but it seems pretty much a majority who are in favor of continuing with the sports program. But I don't know what the numbers are on this board, but certainly me, and I'd like to believe the majority of the board at least, feels extremely strongly that the people, our high school administrators, our athletic director, and our superintendent, need to prove to this town the value of that program. Not in terms of, again, win-loss columns, but in terms of producing the kind of, reinforcing the kind of character values that we uphold in this town, because that's why we put that $500,000 there. And I want to see the effort, personally me, I want to see the effort, you know, because we tend to forget, we tend to just go along and get along after every time there's a major dust up, there's a major problem, and then things settle back into the same old again. And if we are talking about attracting people to this town and creating programs and funding programs to bring people to this town, the kinds of headlines that have been, it's a very complicated issue, no doubt, and no doubt people are administrators and athletic directors and coaches are not responsible for what people go off the field. But to the degree that the school, but to the degree that people are associated with these programs, are making headlines in a negative way, we have to counter that. And the people responsible for countering that are the coaches. They are the high school administrators. They are, you know, they have to come forward with in my opinion, what I'm looking for is something really proactive that say we're going to do things differently and do things differently for real, that are going to have teeth in it, okay? That are going to have some teeth in this, you know? That we have some very, very good coaches who insist on character value, who will bench a player, who will get rid of a player because of things. And I need to know that all of our coaches are doing that, you know? That all of our assistant coaches are doing that. And then we send a real clear message that the reason we're funding sports is because it adds to our community, that these kids reflect and bring pride to our community and they bring pride to themselves. And you know, I think this board will continue to support that particular program, like all our programs, but they need at this particular point in time, I want to just make sure that they are aware of just how close they are to this board finally, and this town finally being moved to the point of saying, we're simply not getting enough for this. We cannot justify it. So however that gets expressed through you, Superintendent, I would appreciate it. And I would like to see, and I would like a report back on what's being done, and being done quickly, to bring some common sense and discipline back to all of our sport, and consistency to how we are managing our sports program. That's it. Thank you.
Favor? Opposed?
No. I never want to leave.